And good morning, gentlemen. Start letting people in here. Get some new names and some familiar faces. And
Morning, guys.
good morning.
New face.
And Ben will be joining us shortly. We're in the middle of an all hands meeting, and he's going to
Oh
be
no.
just a minute or two late. Oh, there he is.
Oh,
I decided I was like, I'll watch the the infinite number of replays.
who do we have there on the right, on your left?
Oh, that's Ruby. That's my one of my doodles.
I hadn't met her.
Yeah, the other one's her sister's right behind me. That's the one that usually jumps on my lap.
Okay, 2 years later, I guess I've been blind.
Well, they're not always in here. Sometimes they're downstairs looking out the window and barking at the UPS man.
He deserves it, though. Let's face
He
it.
does. He's trying to murder us.
I just finally sent you that email, Ben,
Oh,
that I
cool.
mentioned on last Thursday's call. It's encrypted, so you should come from Engie.
Oh, neat. Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, well, I hope everyone's having a good spring so far, even our friends in the far north. It's not quite yet, almost. We used to call it breakup. It was breakup is what we called in Alaska, is when everything started to thaw and actually started to flow and you can actually see pavement again. Yeah. Well, it looks like we're about to top out around a dozen today. So,
Yeah.
as
About
always,
average.
everyone. Hey, today's all about numbers. Welcome, everyone. We're always happy to see some familiar faces and some new folks. And Robert's going to join us as well. That's great. Here's my number of the day: 1.2 billion. We now monitor 1.2 billion alerts every single day. The sheer scale of the data set is now sort of mind-boggling for me. Um, I remember when we were crossing, 500,000, then 500,000,000, and now 1.2 billion alerts every single day. It's amazing. And it's just because you guys bring us your clients and we get to feast on this data, and then probably do some interesting stuff with it and try to take it back to you in a usable format. But yeah, just the scale of this little scrappy little startup sort of boggles my mind.
So,
Mhm.
Ben times 11, and you'll be at Bitdefender territory.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll get there. It's all about ingesting more data streams, and that's what it is. And as we continue to add applications to the platform, that's where it gets more interesting. And for anybody who's going to be in, this is no secret. We've sort of been talking about this, but the things we're going to do with AI later in the year are pretty interesting. We're going to do some interesting things with algorithms, some machine learning, and some interoperability here shortly. Actually, we've already started it in the dev environment. So look for some of the results of that in Vegas and in the coming months. Does
Awesome.
anybody have any underlying questions, any underlying challenges, anything we can tear into to help you better serve your clients or understand what's going on? Enrique, good morning. How can we help?
Good morning. I sent Ben an email a while back, about 5 minutes ago. So I wanted to ask you, Ben, while we're on the call, do we have any respond rule? So what happened with that compromise, partial compromise? I call it compromise anyway, because so they were able to log in successfully into the mailbox account with username and password, but they failed MFA because they did not have an MFA token. But in my eyes, that account's breached or compromised because they already have their username and password. So do we have any, well, I know we don't have any respond rule set up for that because nothing triggered. I found out by Avanon that sent me an email saying this user logged in successfully from Germany but failed MFA. So that's what triggered my research. So I think, is there any way we could I think you're on mute.
I don't know, just trying to think. So they said they logged in. So basically they had the right username and password but failed MFA.
Correct.
Oh, well, we have an MFA failure alert. I just don't really
Because
do too much with it other than if they like reach a certain point of failures.
what I would like to do is, to me, I consider that stolen credentials because they obviously had her username and password. So at that point in time, I would like to block the user and force them to change password or whatever the procedure is to make sure they change their password immediately.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good idea. Let's see.
Because what I got from Avanon was a suspicious login failure for X attempting to log in from Germany, failing at the MFA stage.
Was it so? I guess Germany's not normal for them, correct?
No.
Okay.
Mariachis are normal for them, but not German.
Nice. Let's see. That is
And
a
then
good
that's
idea.
the mailbox I mentioned Thursday that I found a F rule that you were
Uh,
going to go through your data, see if you found anything. Because that was
yeah.
obviously not from this one, but obviously it was moving SharePoint named emails to the archive. So that F rule is definitely effing scary.
Funny. I see what you did there. Yeah, we actually have made a lot of improvements on some back end work that needed to be done that allows us to update rules at scale instead of one by one by one. So that is wrapping up very quickly. I'm in the development stage and making sure I don't break any databases, but so far so good, which will allow us to really push out rules a lot quicker and make updates as well. So,
Oh,
but in the meantime, let me do this. I can actually craft that rule that you described, if you don't mind me showing
no, go
your
for
instance.
it. Hopefully you don't see a lot of trash in there, guys. Housekeeping hasn't been by.
Why, Enrique, why wouldn't it just trigger on successful IM event outside approved location?
I know nothing about SaaS Alerts. I belong to the managed SaaS Alerts
You're
community.
the, you
So,
can't pull that, but isn't that a simple one? It should be outside approved location, successful non-file event.
well, the thing is, I think successful contemplates MFA.
Yeah, you would, it wouldn't be a successful one. Yeah, because yeah,
This is a half
it's
successful because they
it
only
would be
got the
half
username.
successful. Yeah, exactly. So what
Ooh,
you would be doing is you would be doing MFA failure from outside approved location.
And what I want to do is because obviously their username and password, they have it, and the
Mhm.
users probably use it in a million sites. So one in Microsoft, I want them to force to change, to alert them so they could go and hopefully we pray for them, change them, and all the other sites they use the same password.
Yeah. So you wouldn't want to do it inside of the approved location without some sort of like a currency, because if someone messes up their MFA even
Correct.
once, then they'd be like,
Yeah,
oh, dang it.
correct. It would
Enrique
have
got
to
me
be
again.
maybe four failures or three, some
Exactly.
number, which I
And
think
we
in
do
this
have
case they
that.
tried.
Yeah, we have MFA fatigue, which is kind of the same thing. But what we could do is we could leave that one as one, and then we could do is it multi-factor authentication. They always do this one. Okay, MFA authentication failure. And you could do either one or two because both of these together would, I think one is plenty. And then after that, you would simply do, not that data EDR, get in there. Then you would have to do the, I would do force password change on next sign in.
But
And
can't we log them out?
yeah, and I was gonna say, and you can also force you could do the expire account logins, right?
Yep.
And then you would just do basically force password. I don't know if Google has that same one or if you have any Google clients.
No.
I did select Google, but if it's just Microsoft, we can just leave it at that. And for that, I'll probably choose a medium, but we can change it if you want to.
I still consider it critical.
You
And
want
maybe
to
not critical for Microsoft because of the MFA, but any other site they have with the same password, which I really doubt they will, but just those
Yeah.
weird cases where they will.
Yeah, that's a good one right there. We can definitely save that one. That one's, I don't see that being a problem. To answer your question, Tina, let's see. We have one. We have this one right here that should at least alert us. And this is one we set up is that we look for any of these kind of alerts and that has the outside approved location flag on it. That's not a mobile device. And one of the disqualifiers for or the qualifiers for it has to be an unmanaged or an organization without a device, and then also does not have an Entra device. So if any of these are true, then obviously it won't trigger. But we get a fair amount of these, but we still kind of try to surface them. I don't know. I'll have to see if that happened with your client. I'm not going to jump into your logs right here, but I'll take a look at it, the email you sent me though.
Okay, perfect.
But yeah, no, I think that's a great one. I think it's definitely a good combination of events.
Good question in the chat. Does the MFA failure error differ depending on how it's configured, like the difference of IE security defaults versus conditional access? Do we get telemetry on? I don't think we do.
Let me see. Let me see what we get on an MFA failure alert. That's a good question. Authentication failure. See, like, I'm just looking at Enrique's data real quick here. Yeah, we get a fair amount of MFA authentication failures from outside approved location too. Let's see. But as far as detail, what are we looking for specifically?
Can you expand on that a little?
I was just wondering if it was different because I know sometimes we're looking at events, we see that the login, the password was successful, and then conditional access is kicking in to do the multi-factor, and then we're seeing a conditional access or multi-factor fail there. And I was just wondering if somebody wasn't using conditional access and using one of the other methods to enforce it, if it was maybe showing differently.
I don't think so. I think it shows the same no matter how it's enforced. It's just the failure of that authentication flow, I believe, is what we're seeing.
No, I think that's what I recall as well. Good question, though, Eric. Jerry asks, "Hey, is there anything I need to do to prepare to join managed on May 1st? Is there anything that you're aware of that Jerry hasn't done, Mr. Ben?"
No, really, just a matter of filling out the onboarding form, if you haven't already. But I believe if you haven't done that, your account manager will send that over. That's one of the reasons that I've been working so hard on producing rules at scale is so that we can handle mass onboarding. And so we plan to grow our team and improve our processes. But no, other than filling out the form, that actually checks a lot of boxes. That one form does so much. It creates your company in our ticketing system. It tells us what kind of response plan you want. It tells us who to contact in the event of seeing something and how to reach out. But yeah, it's pretty thorough, and I've actually redone it recently. So yeah, I think
Do you anticipate an uptick by after May 1st or after next week?
we believe so. I'm sure most everybody knows about the news coming out, but I can't say anything even if you don't. Basically, we still see people that are going to want uh, to have some sort of assistance with SaaS alerts. And right now, Kaseya can't sell us. And that was intentional. But I think they're going to be able to soon. which scares me a little bit. And that's why I wanted to make sure I had something in place that could, we didn't have like 100 people sign up or 1,000 and be like, here you go, you have to create 20 rules for each one of them. And
You know,
whenever
there's
you
been a lot
update
of
things, oh,
there's been a lot of read between the lines. If you think about, if you ask, I love Jim dearly, but sometimes he's asking questions that he already has the answer to, but he wants people to start thinking about it. And so it won't be anything earth shattering. It's not like we're buying a Tesla or anything, but
oh,
there are
dang.
some changes coming. They're all positive. And in my overinflated self ego, I think this is going to be good for the industry. I genuinely do. We're going to show a tool that is building on some foundational blocks that we've had, and it's where we wanted. It was a moonshot idea 5 years ago, and SaaS Alerts got us there. Now, what's the next step? What else would we do with this ecosystem of how we ingest data and then alert on it and then react to it or report on it and things like that? So it's an evolutionary step, but it's not going to be boring.
Take
Not going to be
sort to
boring.
a whole new level. I
Hmm.
already subscribed to it.
Yeah, it should be
Anyways,
fun. I think
yeah,
it'll be a good thing.
And
There's a lot of plans coming, and I think they're all
he's
really good.
mentioned it on previous calls and he's asked us what we feel about X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm
exactly.
glad to see that. And everybody over there is excited about it. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, and we are. Everybody's excited except our dev team. Um,
yeah.
you guys, it's hilarious when you be on because we see both sides of these conversations. Jim will say, "Hey, on May 1st, we're gonna deliver this functionality," and the dev chat blows up. What? No, we weren't ready for that. Oh my God, hold it! I gotta put all these other things. So it really is some amazing stuff. Our dev team is I am in awe of them. They do some really amazing stuff. That's about right, Rich. That is about right. Um,
One more
anybody,
question for Ben.
please.
Well, I'm at it. Not sure if you understood my response to my unclear email yesterday uh, of what we needed. So basically, remember, we have two instances of SaaS Alerts,
Yes,
the
correct.
users version and the SaaS Alerts direct version. So what I
Mhm.
need to add is manage to the users version.
Mhm. I guess my question is, why is it separate? Is there a reason?
Well, remember we had to, because one's build with users, because I had
Hmm.
365 users, and the other one you guys build.
Just is one cheaper than another, or I mean,
Well, one
I
I don't
thought
pay for
user was
SaaS
cheaper.
Alerts.
Hmm?
Well, no, my pricing with SaaS Alerts, because I don't use users with everybody.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Like I
Okay,
use
so you just have some
Avanon,
of
another
those.
tool, Drop Suite. So we just
Gotcha,
have a
gotcha.
couple of tenants, the least on users, uh, that we need to get managed because right now I haven't set up anything, so it's doing nothing.
So I think it'd be possible, but it's going to result in you most likely having two companies in our ticketing system. I'm not quite sure how to pull that off quite yet, which is one reason I haven't responded. But also your follow-up, is there a way to exclude organizations?
No, I don't
Um,
need to exclude.
okay.
No, I want 100% of them.
Oh, okay.
100% on SaaS Alerts tenant, 100% on K365 tenant. The question,
Let me still give it some thought and find out how we can do it, because I don't want to I obviously don't want to have you have two different um companies
well,
and
we
Autotask.
already do.
You just have the
Oh,
one in our
well,
system.
because you're not managing the other one, but as far as the SaaS Alerts tenants, we do have two companies.
Yes. But like in our system, we use Autotask, and you have
Right.
one company in that. And I don't want you to have two companies. But I think Autotask has the ability to set up, I guess, I don't know if they call them locations. I think they do call them locations. So if we can create a secondary location for you, I think that would work.
It
I'll
should.
have to find out. Yeah.
Because Chip had mentioned you guys were doing where I was going to be able to solve my issue. He even called me out on the call saying what I wanted to be able to have one single tenant, not the SaaS alerts and not the SaaS alerts direct and Kaseya SaaS alerts. So I don't know if that was coming out, if it's already ready.
Actually, you're right. Yeah, hang on. Let me do this. This might actually fix your problem, actually. Our problem. Let's see, where can I find me a decent tenant to sign into? Okay, there he goes. There's one. Okay. So for this one, this is just our sales tenant. But if you go under edit organization, you can change license type. And let's just do bob.com. You can select between standard and K365 user. So I think standard is just SaaS alerts, right? I believe. And then you have K365 user. So if you did combine both of those tenants, I think you can set your licensing type here.
Okay, so now the $1 million question is going to be who's on first?
I
I imagine we keep, because remember, we even changed my logins. Like I can no longer use Microsoft 365 in the SaaS Alerts tenant because it's tied into my email from Kaseya 1. So which tenant are we keeping?
That's up to you. The biggest thing that you're going to be most disappointed about is the fact that you can't migrate the data from one to the other.
So
we
then
would
we have to keep the SaaS Alerts tenant.
Okay.
That has data. The other one is useless because I never configured anything. And it's
Oh,
got
cool.
20 users.
Oh, then shoot, that's fine. Yeah, so then what we would need to do is I can work with you and help you. Basically, we would get rid of, we would have to re-invite you so you could use your Microsoft sign on your SaaS Alerts one again, or Kaseya one login, whichever one you prefer. And then when you add your clients into the SaaS Alerts one, you would just select the K365 license.
And then in Kaseya, do they have to do anything to remove tenant number 2, the newer one? Because right now I see both tenants when I log into Kaseya 1.
Well, that's interesting.
That is a little out of my realm.
Yeah, when you get there, give me a shout because we've got process on how to tear down a tenancy. We just want to make sure we tear down the right one.
Anthony, I'm there.
All right.
Because I don't mind disconnecting the 5-6 tenants that are in there right now in the Kaseya instance. I'll tear them down and we can connect them on the other side. But I guess we have to tear down, like Anthony said, that tenant and just leave the one single one.
It's just good hygiene to not have that instance up and running. There's like no cost associated or CPU cycles. So we don't care, but I just think in general, it's probably you're going to have some
Oh, it was a
support
headache.
issue. Yeah.
Oh, it was a nightmare to get it going. So I can't wait to get out of it.
Yeah, I think that's why I think actually that was a main driving force for adding that license type. That and educational. I don't know if you noticed, but we have a different pricing for .edu domains and stuff like that.
So we don't have a SKU for it yet, but it is absolutely coming. And that's part of that is we've had to build in the functionality to allow us to in the future add in other SKUs in that spot.
Yeah, so like you can, so this will be a good thing that we can start doing.
Okay,
and
so
I
I'm gonna
floated
delete the tenants from the 365 tenancy. Okay.
Yeah, because I floated the idea as like, would it be great to be able to like check or uncheck like managed a portion of that in this as well. So I know that while you didn't ask that, some people have asked the question of, I would like to offer managed for this organization, but not this organization. And so
I did ask that pre-Kaseya days, and I was told no, it's either everything or nothing. So,
but we don't want it to be all or on nothing, and then I don't. But
well, right now I don't care. It's,
yeah,
I wouldn't do it any other way. No, seriously, I'm becoming illiterate in SaaS alerts. Thanks to you, Ben.
You know, I lived in the Midwest. I am perfectly capable of fixing my own furnace, but my wife and my eyebrows convince me, just write the check. Sometimes you just gotta let the experts do their thing.
Yeah.
Mario, I believe you are still direct, unless you are getting from K365. So that would dictate what that should be set to.
So standard.
Standard, you got it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let me save it.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, good
Anthony,
question.
what
Thank you.
number do you need for the deletion? Is there a certain number on the tenant I need to give you guys?
Yes, it'll be there's a garbage string of numbers that you'll get out of the API area, I believe is where
I'll
it is.
show them.
Yeah,
So if you
thank you.
go under settings and API,
Mhm.
Okay.
if this is unchecked, just recheck it or check it and then hit show partner ID. And this is the ID right here of your entire tenant.
Okay. I check it and show API key.
Just the partner ID.
Copy
It
that
says
and just email
Partner.
that to me.
Okay, perfect.
And we'll
Emailing
open
as
up.
we speak.
cool.
Thank you, sir.
Problem solved.
That's all a bit does all day long.
Well, I totally
Uh,
forgot about that licensing part, and I was like, well, that's why we put it in there.
To your Kaseya email, right, Anthony?
Yes, please. Yeah, the SaaS Alerts email is still valid, but
Yeah, SaaS
yeah.
Alerts still works for me.
Couple of good questions. Thank you, Enrique, for kicking this off. I have a question, but does anybody else have anything that we can address from the technical side? Any questions you got about building the rule or any of the new functionality or?
Well, yeah, I'll ask one. Can we get just kind of a quick overview of because I know that we've got the ASN whitelisting now, and that's great.
Mhm.
But can you explain why the ASN whitelisting would be better than using the old respond rule of only elevating, only basically leaving the file event suppressed, but still elevating other things? Because the way I'm looking at it now, we started using the ASN whitelisting, but I'm sitting here just playing whack-a-mole every time a new, data center pops up because they move stuff again. So it generates noise in that period. But then I'm sitting here and it's like I've got basically all of these data centers, whitelisted, but then that, is for anything coming out of those. So like let's say someone tries logging in from one. Well, that's anomalous. I probably wouldn't want that. The respond rule would have then elevated that as a ticket and been like, whoa, this is weird, but would have ignored all those file events. So why would the whitelisting the ASN be considered better than the old workaround way we were doing?
That's a good question. So the biggest issue that we ran into when I first came up with it was that you had to overall set outside approved location down to a low, and a lot of our applications didn't support respond. So like IT Glue, for instance, if someone signed in from outside approved location, it would be considered a low priority event, and respond wouldn't even touch it because it's not an application. That's grown, and if you attend Thursday's call, you'll see a new feature that we're rolling out called Indicators of Compromise, which will basically allow you to craft your own alerts around pretty much any of the products that we integrate with. You may not have an action for it. That action will just be simply alerting, but you'll be able to make your own kind of alerts, which actually may solve a lot of your issues without having to revert back to the other rule. So I would check that out first. But yeah, mostly it was just you're shutting off a really important alert for everything except for Microsoft or Google it wasn't even Google at the time. But that's why I didn't super like it. But you're right.
Yeah.
There could be something bad coming out of a number of
Okay.
those data
Yeah.
centers.
So because we mostly it's just the Microsoft. We don't have like all the other
Yeah.
stuff plugged in. So like
Okay.
we're Microsoft and Defender, and I guess we've got like Sentinel One. But
Yeah.
like those are all we have plugged in. So I'm sitting here looking at this like I feel like for some reason just blanket whitelisting these Microsoft data centers technically leaves bigger holes than the workaround we were using before.
Yeah.
But you explaining that it had to do kind of looking at all apps and any sort of out of approved
Yeah.
location, that would explain why.
Yeah.
Mm.
It was like Dropbox, and that was another big one. They're like, oh yeah, you're not
Oh,
going to get those alerts anymore, and there's no way for you to get them. But there's also another thing that I don't know it's going to be done this month, but I know it's going to be done probably within the next couple of weeks, I believe. I'm hoping is advanced suppression, which I don't know if that you've attended any of the SaaS
I'm here on all the calls. I've heard about them.
Yeah.
The
So
advanced
suppression will be
would
great.
yeah.
And that's grown too, and that is actually near completion. We just are not quite sure it's going to be done before Connect. There's a lot of screaming and yelling and running around like right now to get all these other things finished before Connect, like IOCs and Fortify 2.0. I get that one done before, but I think advanced suppression is going to be huge.
That is one that I'm definitely waiting for.
Yes, you and me both, because and I've told you guys before, it's whenever, like, as MSA, if we're creating a new rule and we have it and it works great, but there's one organization where it works terribly for, we have to, exempt that organization, create a custom rule for them, and it's just a big pain in the butt. So, you may have like one rule that has spawned like 5 or 6 or 20 child rules. It's just awful. But advanced suppression will help us say, hey, this is a false positive, ignore this, don't run a respond rule over it.
And say I know you're playing whack-a-mole sometimes with these and having to, run around and add them to this client and that client and that client. There's some inheritance functionality
Yeah,
that'll be
I'm
coming
waiting for
soon.
the
Yeah,
inheritance too.
yeah.
That one will be a lot of fun.
It's
that
gonna
one
help
will
a
be
lot.
very soon as well.
And for so many of our folks here in North America, it's like, I always want to whitelist the United States. It's like, why do I have to select that every laughing time?
Oh yeah, like, and for MSPs with like, what was it, 60, 70, hundreds of organizations, that's a bit huge time suck.
I always forget when I go to set like special exemptions, like, oh, I have to remember to also add US because it stops listening to,
Yes.
the org
Yep.
level.
That is also very, very huge. Yes.
I've killed many customers with that one back in the.
Yep. And that is a very important thing that Adam and I both agree is extremely inheritance. It has to, if we're going to be doing these rules similar to like a firewall, you need to be able to inherit the things that are above it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. It's kind of funny that you look at, for those of us who've been on the platform for a while, look back at how much we have enhanced. And our foot isn't off the gas. You guys know that. But it's just for anybody who's newer to the environment, this is what we do. We just keep building on this. And it's funny. Ben and I were sort of talking about this offline. It was like, I know some people in our organization have never had so much fun on the job in their lives. It's 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 just to be in this dynamic environment is a privilege. It really is.
yeah, I'd be
Ben,
bored to
I've got
tears
some.
if we'd stayed stagnant.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, I got somebody offline saying, is there a way to create a rule that will trigger when Respond or Fortify needs a reauthorization or to upgrade permissions?
Uh, so Enrique asked about upgrade. I don't think that there's an upgrade one, but I do know that there's a failure one that is usually overlooked. Let me show you that one. Enrique's been really instrumental in the whole entire process of finding things that we're not alerting on that we should. So props to him.
I'm Mr. Alerted. If not, I don't see stuff. And I have to get text messages. If not, there's a section for text messages in a monitor. So
Yes, there is. Yeah, that was something that we crafted together and works really well. I'm kind
Yep.
of surprised. All right. Apparently the Linux client of Zoom is awful. Okay, there we go. Cannot share to save my life. All right. So if you are in quiet mode, if you do a search, there's a couple of API that alerts that are set to low by default, which is we don't agree with, and that's one of the things that MSA changes to at least a medium so that we get some sort of ticket. But there is the respond one right here, so that's strictly for respond rules. If that connection becomes offline or unstable, it is a low, you're not going to get alerted. So we set that to alert There's also one for Fortify right here. And then there's the API connection just in general. That one is a medium. Fortify is not. So we do those. As far as the upgrade, I don't think so. We might talk
So,
to
yeah.
yeah, we have to talk to Dev on that because that's a good one. It's not necessarily like Enrique and I talked about it because he asked, why things were in blue and if they were disconnected. And I told him I said it's basically there's an upgrade available, but it's not mandatory, and it's just that we've added some additional functionality that may be used in the future that needs an upgrade, but it's not that your existing functionality is breaking at all, and it'll still do its thing.
There's been
No,
constant
you just
upgrades
won't.
because I'm back to having to re-authenticate most of my tenants.
Yeah, there's a big one that we did for manage that was so that we could start the process of integrating Entra devices with Unify. Right now, we kind of put a little bit of a band-aid on that with just the existence of the ID, but we want to be able to pull in device information as well. And so that was part of the manage upgrade. But still, it's just the extra fingers going in Microsoft.
Now, here's the question that Eric asked that I don't know, Ben. Maybe you do. Why doesn't it automatically upgrade or have the option to automatically upgrade like Fortify?
That's a great question. I don't know. It should.
Yeah.
I would love that. That's a feature request right there that we could totally put in.
Yeah.
I agree. I think
I
doing
just wonder if
manual
there's a
upgrades is annoying.
programmatic reason. Yeah, if there's something that we just don't have visibility. But we'll ask the dev team. That's a solid question, Eric.
Yeah.
Solid question.
It takes a lot of time when you have 250 clients
Oh
in there.
my
So
Oh,
gosh.
God bless you.
That is
Sure.
awful. Yeah. I feel your pain there.
And then when there's one for manage, and I think there's one for respond now too, or there was one, whatever. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yes, I agree.
That's why the good Lord gave us summer interns, right?
Um, I would take that to Dev and at least make a feature request. I don't know why I've never heard of that suggestion before, but it's a good one. I would make it if if you hadn't said it. So yeah.
Enrique, your hand was up for a moment.
Yes. You guys opened up a can of worms by having me delete tenants from the Kaseya tenant and bringing them over. So I logged into the old SaaS Alerts tenant and discovered more reconnections, but data EDR was broken. So I reconnected the API, but I had configured it originally when it came out in beta, and I do not believe I ran into this issue. So data EDR, all our organizations are under default RMM org. And then under there is where we see all the companies, company A, B, C, D, including ourselves, one MSP.
Mhm.
When I connect to the EDR API, it took me to the next screen showing me everything on map. And when I go to try to map, I'm only seeing default RMM org. And I can only, and basically it's a two-step. I have to go into default RMM org, and then under there, I have to pick the customer.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure.
I don't know if they're working on the one in production, but I know that there is a lot of work being done with data EDR right now, like a lot. We've seen some previews and is that one still a beta one, or is that full blown not beta anymore?
It doesn't show beta.
Okay.
Or I
No,
didn't see
Data
beta.
EDR is available to everyone now.
Okay. Then I would let support know, but also know that there is
Oh no, it's showing
some
beta.
dramatic improvements.
I'm still seeing next to Ignite beta and beta on
Oh,
both.
hang on.
Yeah,
If
it's a part of the things that we can't talk about, is that's going to be on the list of huge
It may be
improvements.
exposed, but it'll be in beta. I believe that's what I think that's what everybody's going to end up seeing.
oh no, okay, I'm lost. Now all the beta little logos went away. Defender was showing beta, Ignite was showing beta, and EDR showing beta, and now no one's showing beta.
Yeah, I see the same thing. Defender beta and Amazon Ignite, Sentinel One, Okta, and Data
Well, and
EDR.
part of that, if you're in the sales tenant, is that we exposed every beta application to the sales tenant.
Oh,
So
good.
yeah, that was for sales purposes. Ben, Tina has a question following up on your chat. Do you have an answer for our friend in Canada?
Oh, holy Toledo. Let me read the paragraph. uh,
Sorry, I'm a little distracted over here, so I threw it in there to make sure that I didn't forget. We like to lock stuff down, and as you know, we recently restricted our IT glue to certain IPs, and thank you for that quick response because I don't know why I couldn't find that and support was useless. So we had to allow that IP to allow the API integration. But for a lot of the modules, you can enforce Kaseya 1 sign-in, essentially disabling direct sign-in. And then our Kaseya 1 IP access controls then limits it to our permitted IP addresses, but it doesn't seem like we have that option for SaaS Alerts. Do you know if that's something that might be coming soon to either enforce Kaseya 1 sign-in or else restrict IP for sign-in?
I know restrict IP has been talked about before, but I don't know of a timeline on that one. But that has been discussed.
Because you
It's-
guys make me like sign in every 5 minutes, which is super secure, but I want to lock down IP.
Super secure, super annoying, something like that. But yeah,
Maybe soon,
I
but
can
definitely
float.
not now.
Not now, but I can definitely follow up and see what I think there's already feature requests for it, but I'll make sure. I think we've been talking. I don't know if you guys are on the Kaseya community board or anything, but we're talking about they created an ideas section for us that we were thinking about using instead of Note because it'd be a little bit easier for everybody to get on board. But I'll make sure it exists in at least one or both of those.
Okay.
What's
Thank
up,
you.
Enrique?
So going on Tina's question, I'm looking at my Kaseya tenant version, which is tied into the single sign-on. I'm looking at the users, allow users to log in with Kaseya 1. What would happen, Tina, if you remove, because like I'm seeing 3 users, Enrique Resendez K, I guess it's some Kaseya variant, and then one of my help desks. And the first 2 for Enrique both show a Kaseya 1 login, a K under MFA enabled, and then SMS as well. I wonder what happens if you use a different account, like don't have Tina at x.com as a local Kaseya user, as a local SaaS Alerts user, and that way you only log in through Kaseya 1 into SaaS Alerts.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like as a sub, kind of like a co-managed user, like a per or
No, I don't know if I can share my screen, Ben.
Yeah, of course. I don't think there's any restrictions.
Okay, let me see. You see my bank statements?
Nice. Have a loan.
Okay. So, so this is the Kaseya tenancy I have, and these are obviously local users, correct, Ben? Well, local and Kaseya 1.
Yeah,
I'm wondering if they can only be like maybe create a new user, Tina SA for SaaS Alerts, and that'll be your local global admin. But your Kaseya 1 email, like we connect Kaseya 1 to Microsoft Entra. So we authenticate with Entra for Kaseya 1, Microsoft credentials, and then we limit by IP as well. But if you remove your primary email as a global admin in the tenant and you create a new account for that global admin in the tenant. And then if you have Kaseya 1 single sign-on enabled, just use your regular Kaseya 1 email, which I don't know if you have it tied into Microsoft or a local Kaseya 1 user.
my brain's not following Enrique right now.
Ben, can you try to decipher what I'm trying to explain?
So yeah, I mean, just to follow up, Brinkley, yeah, you can only sign in to one particular SSO method when you first initiate the contact. I guess she's more asking if there's a way to enforce that so that you could only do Kaseya or only
Well,
do.
where I'm going at, she wants to be able to limit via IP, have an ACL and
Mhm.
SaaS alerts, which you don't have.
Yeah,
But if
correct.
she cannot log into SaaS alerts as Tina at xyz.com,
Yeah,
she's solving that because now she can only log in via Kaseya 1. And
true.
Kaseya 1 is limiting her IP addresses based on the
Yeah,
IP settings.
you could totally do that. I mean, it would be a little bit more of a manual process to say, hey, you know, if to for her to review the user list, and if someone signed in with something other than Kaseya, you know, you have to kick them out. But yeah,
Well,
it's a way to audit it at least and know.
well, wouldn't you remove your local user? Like these have an SMS, that means they're also local users. If I were to create Enrique.Resendez plus K
Mhm.
and add it here for the local user purpose, now my email Enrique.Resendez at 1MSP is free of being a local user in SaaS Alerts. And you're forcing it to have to log in through Kaseya 1 because it doesn't exist in SaaS Alerts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine show I already do log in using Kaseya 1.
Yes, but if
So
you have the
I've never
local
gone back and
user,
Yeah,
like here, I
that's
could go
just
direct into SaaSalerts.com, hit login, and use this email, and I'm
mhm.
yeah,
going
I
to
haven't
log
done
in as
that
a
for
local
yeah.
user.
I'll have to check it out.
But if I were to remove my user from there and then I come here and select the tenant, this is the only way Tina at xyz.com will be able to log in
I
because
think
you
it
don't exist
creates a
local.
user though, when you
Oh yeah.
link it through Kaseya 1. So I don't know if you'd be able to remove it. Does that
Well,
make sense?
So
you,
you that's interesting. All right, well, I mean,
We better try it out, Enrique. It'll be an
yeah,
experiment.
yeah.
food for thought.
I think
Yeah.
you
Or
still have to create the local user in
yeah,
SaaS Alerts.
It gets
I think so
created
too.
automatically if, well, I don't know for SaaS alerts because Kaseya 1 with most of the Kaseya modules, you have to tell it to auto provision users. So
Yeah,
when
we
you
have
log
that
into the first
disabled.
time, okay, that's what we use because we use Entra for everything. So we'll have it create the local user either for co-managed or for our help desk. It creates whatever module we give them access to. That's where it creates basically
Hmm.
the local user. So here we'll limit or here we'll limit the different groups and what modules they can log into.
So when you add a user at Kaseya 1, um does it
Um,
it doesn't automatically create it in SaaS Alerts, all right?
First time
Well,
they
I don't know
log
if
in,
you
I
guys
believe it does.
support it,
it
but
does
for
on
all
the
the
other
other
modules.
modules, it does because we have
Yeah.
them set up to automatically, like if we come to SaaS to data EDR and we
Mhm.
go to, I keep forgetting where it is, but where's, so here we're telling it to automatically create. I can limit to require login with Kaseya 1 for data EDR, which I'm not,
Mhm.
because not all our co-managed are logging in yet to Kaseya 1. And then I could have it to automatically provision
That's what we need. That's what we need in
and
SaaS
based
Alerts right
on
there.
Kaseya 1 group,
Hmm.
what role they're going to have. So if they're in the
Yeah.
help desk 1 MSP group in Entra, they're going to have analysts. If they're in the admin, they'll have admin. So that I think would solve part of that, which you might not have yet.
Yes. We don't,
Because
but that I
you
think that'd
should
be
have here
great.
the options of auto provisioning. So,
Yes.
but food for thought.
I will make sure it's a feature request if it is not already.
Well, it is, and that's where this cross-pollination is starting to really
Hmm.
show its strengths.
Did anybody
Well, how
else
do
have a lot of fun on Friday night? Like me?
So yeah, Rich was asking about that too.
Oh,
And yeah, I think Manage had double fun because our system like responds to those tickets that are created and lets people know how to recreate. But yeah, I posted an article about from Bleeping Computer about it. I think we were going to talk about it on the Sassy call too.
Yeah.
But we had, you guys get a kick out of this. So over the last, let's see, where's that big fat number at? Oh, it might have gone away already. Oh, there it is. Over the last 10 days, Managed has had about 2,000 tickets come into our system, and it's not usually nearly that high. So it's usually maybe like 200 or 300, but yeah, it was crazy.
It was not awesome at all. Not awesome.
Somebody on
Slide.
Discord posted like a really funny meme. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I saw
Oh,
it.
gotta love Microsoft.
It's like weekend.
You remember the tenant that we talked about because they were acquired. They're going through an acquisition, so we're offboarding them because they have internal IT. That is the only tenant that it fired on. So we have so many hands in the pot, so many new administrative accounts, migration going on. We're 2 weeks from fully offboarding them, and that is what destroyed my Easter weekend.
Mm.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
I think it only affected a third of Microsoft's clients, but that's still a pretty big number.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah.
If you took precautions, if you were on it before people started talking about it, it was rough. If you got on it after everybody had talked about it and they knew that it was a possible false alarm, then it wasn't so rough because you kind of sat back and went, oh, do I really need to do anything? But if you were on it at midnight, yeah, it was rough.
Agreed.
Couple questions popping up. Did the Fortify issue require any post actions? Is there anything we should have done after that whole debacle?
All the connections should have resolved themselves. It was they basically Microsoft disabled some sort of key rotation or something and screwed us up, but we were able to reconnect. It's what keeps us able to be connected to your tenant even after our keys expire. It's just the renewal of those.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And Jerry was wanting to follow up before he goes live on May 1st. Is there anything that he should be doing to fully configure all of his orgs and SaaS alerts?
Yeah, we will basically do an audit after they sign in and give us permission into their tenant, and we will tell them, hey, this should probably be addressed, this should be fixed or that. But basically just make sure everything's connected, that if you don't want us to do anything with Fortify, you don't have to connect that, but do connect, respond, and manage. And also we'll let you know if there's anything else. But yeah, we've managed is still a very, very personal offering, and we will walk you through everything and have meetings and talk to you about it. We want to make sure your tenant's configured correctly.
I get so sick of applications saying, "Oh, this will be the concierge experience," but Ben really does deliver that. Ben and his crew really do.
Yeah, our team is great. Our processors are great. I think we need a few more people to do onboarding meetings. But other than that, that's my only crest.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah, we have a guy that his name's Aaron. He does the like the 4 p.m. to midnight Eastern kind of onboarding meetings and stuff like that. And then I handle most of the ones during the day. But yeah.
Yeah, Aaron's great. He's a
Oh yeah, he's super.
MSP owner. Yeah, Aaron. He's just
Oh yeah,
personal, nice guy,
he
and
does.
he's
Yeah, he
been
runs
through
an
the ringer.
MSP. Yeah, he runs an MSP during the day, and at night does this because he's just starting with his MSP. So it's you guys have all been there when your MSP is not exactly making enough money to put food on your table. You need that secondary job. So he's been able to help us out, and we've been able to help him out. So it's worked really well. I know there's a day where he's going to finally go, oh well, my MSP is like rocking now. I don't need you, but I'm holding on for dear life.
I love that he came out he left a larger MSP to hang out his own shingle, and
Yeah,
so he very much understands what you guys are going through. He's a really good cat.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he is.
It's gonna be.
Um,
I'm sad to lose him.
I actually have one other question, Ben.
Mhm.
Partner had a question, how do I block, and this came from a client. Apparently, one of their users was going to Starbucks and logging in on a public Wi-Fi, and he wanted to disallow that on a regular basis. Well, I
Saw
did a
that.
little Googling and, take it with a grain of salt because it's Google. It says that all Starbucks use a common ASN for their public Wi-Fi. So
Okay.
should he just alert or consider locking that account? every time it successfully logs in from that particular ASN? Am I
Well,
going
do you
down the
remember
right
what the
thought path
ASN
with it?
was? It's not like
Yeah.
Starbucks Incorporated or something, right?
No, hang on. I actually captured that someplace here.
Well, yeah, I saw that request too. I'm like, yeah, we don't have any. Microsoft doesn't tell me what Wi-Fi you're connected to. It'd be really cool. I was like, maybe Intune does, but I was like, not quite yet. It
No,
literally is Starbucks company. I mean, yeah, I
I
think
would
it
do it.
was. I mean, you could totally do that. Yes, I think. I think it was mostly just an example that he was talking about, because obviously if he goes to McDonald's or
You go
like
across the street.
Wendy's or
Yeah.
something, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not going to do any good. And it's the limitation of what information your computer sends to Microsoft,
Mhm.
which I was wondering honestly if whenever we do integrate with Intune, what information we'll be picking up. And as our product matures over the next year, we're going to have so many more integrations, even at the device level, that I think that ask is not going to be a difficult one. And you know me, I'm all about more information, the better.
Doesn't Datto RMM or RMMs tell you? I'm looking right now.
I would be interested to know that as well. If they do and they transmit that to the API, that would be really cool because there is a lot of information that Datto EDR or Datto REM and EDR pick up that we might be able to get in. EDR might too. I don't know. RMM is if that would be really cool. I would think so.
Uh,
I think us picking up more information from the RMM will come naturally over the next year.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody, follows this sort of thing. I don't even know if there was a press release, but here at Kaseya, um, we had a gentleman who had a fantastic opportunity, and so he decided to go take it. But he was our, I don't know, VP or director of prod or whatever it was, but he oversaw all of that. And so his vacuum was filled by Jim Lippy. So Jim Lippy now has more than a little influence on all of the Kaseya products, and we're already starting to see that he's just telling people to integrate better and reprioritize this. So I think it's another one of those things that as an industry, we're going to see a lot of benefits from this interoperability, which is something that we had to build in from day one here at SaaS Alerts, pulling data from all these different options. But he's directing people to put their energies towards some of that. And it'll be things exactly like this. Oh, that information's in Datto, but they're not presenting it in the API. Well, you go do it, and then they'll go do it. So this is an exciting time. It really
benefits
is.
of being the chief product officer.
I
There's
know, right?
there's
So
heavy is
awesome.
the head that wears that crown. I don't think he's going to
Yeah.
see his wife for the next 6 months, but it's the payoff is going to be in your pockets. I mean, I think you guys are really going to see a lot of benefits from this. Um, and
Well, he
again, it's
knows the
not dull.
reputation Kaseya has too, and he knows that it needs to be fixed.
And we are fixing that. I know you guys, there's a lot of things going on internally about where we're rediverting our spend and our resources into support. So one of these days, Tina, you won't be able to say, of course, support was useless. I promise you, we're working on that.
I know, right? That's
And
awful.
you guys, if
They
you've
weren't
gone,
useless. They were unsure. And
sure,
That's right.
Ben would have the answer. And for some reason, I just couldn't find that KB article in Kaseya. It had a link to all the other module IP addresses that you needed to permit, but it didn't have SaaS alerts, and I didn't think to go to SaaS alerts KBs.
Well, I'm working with them, the knowledge base people on that too. That's the organization of those KBs is not great, and they know it, but they're very, very willing to work with us. So
that's the thing. I was sort of telegraphed from day one that there were a lot of things where I'm not going to say we did it right, but we sort of set the guideposts on how we got here and how 40 people in 40 months we built this thing. Um,
we
and
came in and took over.
we're having an outsized influence on the rest of the organization. And again, I'm not going to say it's right. I just know it works in service of our partners like you. So um, look for that sort of. I hope to keep that sort of momentum and that sort of friendly banter and keeping the eyes on the prize kind of thing. Guys, these calls are turning into my favorite call of the week because of you. Really appreciate your showing up, asking questions, challenging us, bringing up ideas that we either had thought of and then forgot or had never thought of. So let's keep doing this. I hope to see a bunch of you in Vegas. Other than that, we'll see you on the Thursday call, or we'll see you in 2 weeks.
We'll be there. Stay
Excellent.
safe, guys.
Take care, guys.
Bye, guys.